So an email from Lexus pops up into my inbox.
There you go. Nicely done.
Woo! Do you want to attend Lexus Performance Driving School at Laguna Seca in Monterey, California for free? And we'll put you up at a hotel room for 2 nights? I can't see the ground! Hell yeah, I do. Now, full disclosure, Lexus paid for me to attend Lexus Performance Driving School, and they fed me, but this is not a sponsored review. My thoughts here are my own, and my intention here is to be objective as humanly possible. Moving on. How do you really know that you're a good driver? Or more importantly, that you can drive safely while pushing a vehicle to its performance edge? What's that saying? 10,000 hours make it expert? But let's say you have 10,000 driving hours on regular roads. How many of those hours include sliding, slaloms, and 5-story blind corkscrews on one of America's finest road courses? I can't see the ground! In other words, if you aren't teaching or routinely competing in some form of organized racing, it's probably a good idea for you to take a few classes and up your game. So toss away those road habits and replace them with racer focus. Plus, it's legitimately super fun. So Lexus Performance Driving School costs $995 for a 1-day introductory racing school course. Transportation and accommodation are on you, but tuition includes breakfast, lunch, an unlimited amount of soft drinks and snacks, and 3 types of driving experiences in 3 different Lexus cars. A Lexus RCF on the skid pad, where you learn how to drift, a Lexus IS 350 F Sport on the Autocross course, and the Lexus LC 500 Coupe on the big road course. And so over the course of about an 8-hour day, you attempt to do each of these 3 driving styles, each of these 3 challenges once in the morning and then once again in the afternoon. Here's how it breaks down. Drifting! I didn't hit the expensive car. Okay. With Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires and traction control engaged, the Lexus RCF does a remarkable job of pointing itself wherever you tell it. It will just go around in circles even when things are wet. Very, very impressed. But turn traction control off. Drop the hammer and crank the wheel, and welcome to Drift City, all while that glorious 5.0-liter V8 screams and your rear end swings. The trick to drifting, our instructors say, I am not an expert, is finding the balance between steering wheel input and throttle modulation. So too much steering or too much throttle, and basically the back end of the car is going to walk all the way around you. But too little of either, you're either going to push, you're going to understeer and just kind of go straight forward, or the tires are going to find traction again and you're just going to be driving around in a circle. So here's the least shocking revelation of the day. Anywhere you will hear, drifting is way harder than it looks. And it's also a pretty good arm workout. But our instructors are very encouraging, and I actually managed by the very end to hold kind of the semblance of a drift. There we go.
There you go. Nicely done.
Woo! But I obviously have so much more to learn, but it was a blast, and also my arms still kind of hurt. Autocross! You've probably seen this before, an orange cone course in a parking lot, 1 car at a time, go as fast as you can around the whole course without hitting a cone or overshooting the stop box finish line. Here we got 6 laps total, 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon.
Do you remember me?
Hi guys, it's the executive assistant.
Hi.
All right.
My name's Lana. Better go back to work, Daddy.
All right, back to work. 6 total laps, 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. The ones in the afternoon are timed. It's a little bit of a competition. And again, the instructors are amazing. There was many different kind of tips and tricks, but they were all highlighting various disciplines that seem to stem from 2 key principles. First, the drivers are better at anticipating what's coming than reacting to problems. And tires can only do 100% of one thing at one time. So in other words, you want to memorize the course as much as humanly possible, and you want to keep your eyes up. You want to imagine that the bottom half of your windshield does not exist, which is going to keep you looking forward and planning for the next obstacle and avoiding surprises. Another awesome tip is look where you want the car to go, not what you're trying to avoid hitting. It's why a lot of people that aren't good at driving crash into the very thing on the side of the road that they're trying not to, is because they look at it and the car goes exactly to that point. Instructors also encourage us to separate our driver inputs. Basically, the idea is that tires turn the best when they're not being used to brake hard or accelerate hard, and vehicles tend to brake and accelerate really well when they're going in a straight line. So the idea is to accelerate, brake, and turn in smooth, separate motions, and you want to transition between each as quickly and again as smoothly as possible. If you drive smooth, you can drive clean, and if you can drive clean, you can drive fast.
Separate those controls.
Yep.
I promise you, if you work on just making those controls nice and smooth,
Yep.
lap time comes.
Road course. Laguna Seca, 2.238 miles, 11 turns, 180-foot elevation change, including a 5-story drop through the legendary corkscrew, all in a 472 horsepower LC500 rocking a carbon fiber roof. Admittedly, this is not necessarily the ideal track vehicle because it weighs 4,200 pounds. The convertible weighs 4,500 pounds. But these vehicles are still so great because they sound so great. And it just makes me much more excited for the 3,900 pound IS500 coming out very soon. IS500 is going to be everything. Now in the morning, our instructors lay out the fundamentals over 2 3-lap sessions. They're driving the GSF and we're following along in the LC. And so first we're gonna learn the road course itself, and then we're gonna practice hard braking because most folks are not used to stomping on the brakes as hard as you possibly can. After lunch, we go out for 4 more 3-lap sessions, making use of everything we learn over the day. Eye placement, we're keeping our eyes up, we're looking around the corners, we're looking at the vehicles that are in front of the vehicles in front of us. Throttle braking, observing a wide, narrow, wide corner strategy, which is basically like you're on the outside as you're approaching a corner, you go very narrow at the apex and then wide again. And this allows you to keep your hands straight as long as possible, so you're unwinding your hands so you can mash the throttle as safely and as cleanly, as smoothly as possible. And by our last lap of the day, we are ripping down the straights at over 100 miles an hour, braking hard, turning fast, and generally feeling like race car drivers, even though we are not. But it's in this last lap that the whole day becomes clear to me. All the tips, all the strategies, all the repetition, all the different styles of driving, all the challenges leading up to this one glorious lap. Woo! And hopefully more future experiences just like the one we're having today. Is Lexus Performance Driving School worth $1,000 plus whatever transportation you need? Overall, very much so. I would argue that any audio enthusiasts that aren't already very into racing will benefit from the tips and techniques that are presented in a course just like this one. And even those with more experience could have a lot of fun and get to test out the latest Lexus rides. So, I mean, from my perspective, the instructors were awesome. The hosts and the staff make you feel like a celebrity. There's food everywhere and everybody's trying to make sure that you're having fun, which of course you are because you're driving fast cars and listening to V8s and smoking tires, and it's just a ton of fun. And you couple this with the beauty of Laguna Seca in Monterey, California itself, and this is a ton of fun, and I think it's reasonably priced for the amount of different styles and instructions and seat time that you get. However, I do have a few suggestions of things that could improve. Now, admittedly, a few of these kinks might have already been worked out. I attended the first day back after the program had been shut down for over a year for pandemic reasons. And of course, Lexus is being very safety-minded, so they're sanitizing vehicles each time a driver gets out of one. So there's probably a lot of things that might not be challenges as we move past the 2020-2021 calendar year. But here's just a few ideas that I had after experiencing it for a day. First, I wonder if the organizational structure of the whole day is a little too complex, right? So we got 3 different challenges and techniques that we like to learn, which I love, but you have to do each one 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the afternoon. There's a lunch break. There's a few times where we're gathering as larger groups. And so there's so much kind of moving between things that it feels like there's some odd pauses in downtimes that could be eliminated if the day was more simple. Like if you did, if you just broke the day up into thirds between the 3 different activities. And along those lines, I'm not sure if there's enough seat time in the skid pad and autocross challenges and techniques. I think you get about 8 to 10 minutes on the skid pad and 6 total autocross laps. And I'm just not sure if that's enough seat time simply to learn, grow, and implement the techniques that you're learning. So coupled with the downtime that I mentioned earlier, it just made me wonder if there was just a little bit more room to add like a lap or 2 here and a few more minutes there. Obviously, this is a very expensive thing to put on, so I don't mean to say that there wasn't enough that we got to do, but I just felt like from an instruction standpoint, when you're on the road course, you have basically 4 to 5 different sessions, and you start slow and you learn the course, and then you do braking, and then you're speeding up and you're speeding up and you're speeding up. And there's this real sense of learning and climax and victory that comes from doing the road course, because you feel like you achieved something, you feel like you learned something, and you kind of applied all those techniques. And it just felt like the autocross and the skid pad sections were just a little undercut for how much you could grow in this one course. Overall though, final thoughts. If you get a chance to attend Lexus Performance Driving School here in California or somewhere else, or any other of the OEM programs, any of your local track programs, highly, highly, highly recommended. This one in particular is fantastic. Yummy food, fun cars, awesome driving experiences. Having just done it for one day, I can already feel the way that I drive in twisties around town. I am attempting to be much more observant of things that are happening further away from me, planning and preparing for curves and making sure that I'm not going too fast into corners and accelerating too quickly, and all those things, all these little tips that make the driving experience more engaging and safer and faster, of course, right? Plus, when you're done, you get an official certificate and an official hat. I mean, this has got to be at least like $800 worth of product right there, and then like $200 just to drive the cars, right? So highly, highly recommended that you attend a driving school. Just be prepared to become addicted to a new expensive hobby. I may or may not be speaking from experience. Honey, I need some new tires again.